welcome Phil Lewis, Steve Riley, mainstays of l.a.guns, going on for 18 years. Last night opened the tour in UK, which is going to take you on to Spain and Italy.
Yeah.
And it was a storm. Dingwall's in London. Tell us about it.
It's great.
You know, it was long overdue. We were supposed to come over here a couple of times over the last year, but it didn't work out for one reason or another. Nothing to do with us, nothing to do with me or him. Just, a situation that we don't have any control of. So yeah, it was long overdue, and I sensed that from the crowd. I felt that like they were real hungry for us, and it was great. It was great energy.
And you introduced a new member to the crowd as well.
Who, Kerry?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kerry's been playing guitar for us now, and he's amazing. He's been in a lot of bands in not LA, but in the States. He was a guitar player in Rat, and he was in Warrant for a while. But he's probably best known for his. He was in Slash's band Snake Pit.
Right.
For about since the conception of it.
Right.
And of course that band's not around anymore, but we're lucky to have him. He's great.
Straight away, tell us the situation about Tracy.
Well, Tracy, he sort of comes and goes. He's a great friend. He's a very talented musician, but he has issues. He has issues with flying.
Right.
He wasn't very happy about coming across the water this time of year. Well, not this time of year, but with the war and everything going on, and he's a nervous guy, and it's been a problem in the past, and we just got to the point where we just we can't wait. He can come back anytime he wants. He's a friend. I love him, but I wasn't prepared to put this whole band, this whole new record, this Waking the Dead on ice till he found the right medication. Right. And I don't mean that in a bad way.
Yeah. And Steve, he's working on a project at the moment with Nicky Six, isn't he?
He is. He's doing that, and there's no bad blood really at all. With him doing that or us doing other things. This band is funny in that way, where we everybody's tight, and we stay tight. The old original members, Kelly and Mick, we're really tight with them still too. And it's not something like we carry grudges and we hold on to it. We just keep pushing forward.
Right.
And a lot of the band's income now these days is touring.
Right.
We don't have a lot of radio, we don't have a lot of TV support, so touring, we're fortunate. We have a name and we can tour. And it really is a big part of our thing right now, touring a lot, and like Phil said, there's a lot of flying involved there. So that did become a problem, but it mainly was I think he was the only guy in the band that hadn't had a break from the band.
Right.
And maybe it's his turn to take a break from the band and go try something else and realize this is his strength. Mm-hmm. Because I realized it when I was out for a little bit, Phil was out for a little bit, and we realized l.a.guns is our strength. Yeah. And again, we're fortunate that we came out of the 80s, 90s with a name.
Right.
And so, we're happy. We're pushing forward, and we're going to continue pushing forward. We're going to record and tour as much as we were before. And Kerry Kelly's working out great. He just slid right in, and he's so easy to tour with. And like I said, Tracy's got our blessings, and he came down and he jammed with us with Kerry and Brent playing. And he just said it sounds fantastic, and he's so happy for us. So it's good. Both everybody
could be a new episode for the band then, basically, this lineup,
Yeah.
You could say that,
Were there any shouts or were there any vibe yesterday of where's Tracy?
Not really. I mean, I've explained it on numerous occasions. I tend to explain it before anybody says anything, if I feel it's necessary. But it just comes out so strong. It's like a freight train. The way the first 2 or 3 songs. I don't think anybody's really missing it. There's nothing missing. There's no element missing.
Right. The focus is the front man in those first 3 numbers, and
these are the songs, and this is the singer, and
it really goes that way now. They want it. The name of the band, They want that set of material that the band does,
Right.
and they want to hear Phil singing it.
That's right.
And I did the band without Phil, with a few different other singers when he was out of the band, and it's more difficult than I can even describe, trying to play these songs even with really talented singers, trying to sing Phil's stuff that he honed, stuff that he made happen.
Right.
And it's just...
It's not that I'm that great a singer or anything, it's just that, you know, you write a song in a certain style, you sing in a certain way, and it's
you
really
put your
difficult.
stamp on it.
Yeah, it's difficult for somebody to emulate that and then, you know, put their own thing in when they're working on new material as well.
Let's talk about your current album, which is Waking the Dead,
Yeah.
and you're playing about 4 songs from it tonight amongst all the sort of, it's a retrospective, but 4 songs are Waking the Dead.
Quite a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did that come together, the album?
Well, we recorded it in 2 stages, well 3 stages really. We got together and we had all our ideas, all the rough ideas that we thought would be appropriate and everything we had lying around. And we went into a room, just a rehearsal room, and we listened to it. And I said, come on, what have you got? And we'd record it, and I'd go away and listen to it, and I'd come back and go, you know, I really like this bit. I like, you know, a couple of things here. This part I can't do nothing with. And we gradually worked out an arrangement of the songs without any lyrics or any, like, I hadn't done anything other than figure out, you know, this was an intro. This is where the verse would go, this is a chorus. And we did that for about 12, 13 songs.
Right.
And then we went on tour. Then we went and did, what was it, like a 6-week tour? So I had a blank CD of these rough ideas for songs, and that really gave me a lot of time to work on lyrics and ideas. And as opposed to being under the pressure in the studio or before you're going in the studio, going, you know, I'm the last one to do it, I don't want to fuck it up, you know. I didn't have that kind of pressure.
Right.
It really gave me a lot of opportunity to listen to each song individually and feel a vibe for each one, and it didn't take too long before I could like write lyrics that were appropriate with the vibe of the song.
Right. Right.
And I still, you know, I like all the, you know, the first couple of records that we did, you know, it had great energy and, you know, it's a very exciting period for the band.
Yeah.
I personally think that Waking the Dead is hands down the best thing we've ever recorded.
Right.
And I also think...
Then Cocked and Reloaded, yeah?
Well, Cooked and Reloaded was a joke.
Tell us about the joke.
That was Cleopatra Records getting in touch with us and saying that they understand it's hard for the kids to get Cocked and Loaded in a lot of the retails.
Right.
And they asked us, would we be interested in re-recording it? And it was a business decision. They wanted to throw us some money for re-recording an old album, and at the same time it turned into a lot of fun too, because we got to, you know, the production on Cocked and Loaded, we liked it for the time, but it was nice to do it with a little bit of fatter mix too.
Yeah.
You know, so it was kind of fun too. But he's right, it was nothing.
Well, I hated doing it. You know,
You did?
I wanted to move on. I didn't see any point in me rejoining the band and having to do stuff that we'd already done. Plus, you know, the budget and the time allowed. And when we recorded Cocked and Loaded, we spent like $500,000, and we took like 6.5 months to do it. When we did Cocked and Reloaded, we had about, you know, 5 bob and a weekend, you know, and you know, it was really, you know, like much younger, and I was, you know, singing like a banshee back, you know, then, and so it really, you know, I had to pull my finger out because I didn't have a lot of time, and it was, you know, it was tough, it was uphill. For what? For nothing. Something we'd already done, you know. But like you said, it was a business deal, and you know, you have to do some strange maneuvering to, you know, be a professional musician, and that was just one of those things.
And tell us about Spitfire Records.
Well,
not much to say, really, is there?
The thing with Spitfire is that they, you know, we really never gave them a chance to take on Waking the Dead because we had to cancel the Alice Cooper tour.
Right.
And they were all prepped for that, and that was going to be a really nice tour to do last year. And we didn't do it because Tracy did the other thing, so we had to scrap it. And we were still going to try to come over anyways.
Right.
And we were going to take Chris Holmes from Wasp with us.
Right.
And do the whole tour. And Spitfire is sort of like they're there right now for us, and we'll see how long that lasts because we're going to want to record another album at the end of this year.
Right.
You know, and we'll see where they're at, and we have a contingency plan if they don't want to do it. But, you know, they're nice people. They really made a nice push on Man on the Moon.
Right.
Waking the Dead, we haven't really given them a chance to do anything, and we're hoping that they jump back on and they're not too disillusioned with what happened with the band because we're not at all. We're excited.
Okay. Let's head way back now. Let's go back down memory lane. Phil, if we could start with you and your time in England and playing with the girl band. What are your memories of that whole era? What influences were sort of bringing to bear on you?
Oh, you know, it used to be Jerry Laffey and I were you know, like big dreamers. We'd listen to bands like Japan, Susie and the Banshees, and it wasn't really, you know, like our plan to put a metal band together. It was a rock band, but sort of a, you know, we were, I don't know, we were hanging out with a lot of new romantics, you know,
Right.
and we just wanted to play, and we were crap, but you know, we still played anyway, and we had a bunch of songs, and
So it was more an 80s thing for you. It wasn't a sort of 70s Aerosmith, AC/DC.
not really,
No?
no. I mean, we were listening to that, and we didn't hate it, but no, we, you know, our contemporaries, the people that we were hanging out with, the other people in bands, were, you know, from they weren't, you know, weren't heavy bands at all.
Right. Right.
And we put together an album's worth of material on we called it Sheer Greed, and we got a deal with Jet Records, who are a really heavy metal label.
Right.
And we explained to them that, you know, it's, you know, we you know, you know, it stomps, but it's not you know, full out, you know. So and they pushed us in a very metal direction. You know, they stuck us on very hard rock packages, and we really had to learn the hard way.
Right.
So that by the time we did the second record, we you know, got the plot. You know, we'd figured out that, yeah, you know, we knew what it was we had to be good at, and but we got some stick. You know, it was a very learning experience. I remember we did a couple of shows, 2 or 3 shows with Kiss, and we did one up here actually in Birmingham, a huge place. Brad was at one of the halls, I can't remember what it was called.
Yeah.
You know, on Sheer Greed we had a, Kim Fowley called me up from LA, and he goes, you know, I think you should do Do You Love Me? It's a song I wrote for Kiss. Well, yeah, all right, okay, we'll do it. And we did it, and they ended up making a single out of it.
Mm.
So, you know, we didn't have that many songs when we were opening for them, so we played it.
Right.
So we're playing Kiss songs, and so Gene and Paul freak out, and a bunch of the punters are like, you know, giving me the finger. And so I'm like, you know, I'm looking down, and I wasn't really saying it to the whole place, but I went, shut the fuck up. And I had 10,000 people go, whoa. And it's the sound that you don't forget. The whole, I pissed the whole place off. And we only did a couple more shows. I couldn't bear it. I just couldn't bear working with those guys. They,
Right.
you know, they're just, it's like.
But you did bring some material from Girl into Hollywood Tees. That was a
Well, yeah. The thing about it was, you know, we didn't actually. Girl never played the States, but we were like
Made a mark, yeah.
Made a mark. You know, a lot of, you know, Tracy was very influenced. It was like one of his favorite records, and he was
Right.
saying that, you know, Izzy and a couple of the other guys in Guns N' Roses were listening to it all the time.
Oh, right.
And so it was through a mutual friend that I was contacted and said, look, you know, there's this band in LA, they're just about to get a deal, but, you know, they have a problem with the singer, would you be interested in coming out? And I was
Right.
just about to get sacked from Torme anyway, which is the
Right.
band I was in after Girl.
Right.
So yeah, I said, yeah, all right, okay, and I figured, you know, I'd go out and see how it lasted. You know, I thought it could last, you know, I think from like 2 weeks to, you know, maybe 6 months.
Right.
See how it goes.
Were you based in London in
Yeah.
England? Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you know, I showed up in LA with, you know, like 200 quid and a hairdryer.
Right.
And I've been there ever since.
Right.
That was
this mo-
86.
86, yeah,
Yeah.
86. And you joined the band in 87?
Yeah. No, the album came out in 87.
Right, right. And what did you know of l.a.guns before? You know, because they were already by that time 3 years old, weren't
Yeah,
they? One,
yeah.
on and off.
I
yeah.
just got a grainy black and white picture and a cassette of maybe like 10 of their songs, and I thought they were really great. And I thought the singer was Paul Black.
Paul
was
Black, yeah.
was the singer at the time, and I thought they were really good.
Right.
And I was, you know, I was curious why they wanted to get rid of him, but you know, I found out he was, you know, kind of had a drug problem.
Right. Right.
And it was difficult. He wasn't getting on with the guy who wanted to sign him.
Mm-hmm.
So I explained to him, you know, Paul's singing wasn't really my style, and you know, the other thing was that, you know, Tracy was and Mick were big girl fans.
Right.
And by that time, I was over it. I was over the last thing I wanted to do was start sounding like girl again.
Right.
So, you know, I had to choose. They wanted to do some girl songs, so I chose you know, I thought the best one for us to do, and that was Hollywood Tees.
Right,
And,
right. Now,
that was my compromise.
Right. One question that everybody asks about what exactly for Tracy was the musical difference of opinion that led to him leaving Guns N' Roses. That's what it's been put down as.
They
Steve?
got him out of Guns N' Roses?
Yeah.
You know, I think
We've heard a lot of stories.
Yeah, you know,
he
in
hated
reality.
talking about it.
Yeah,
Really?
he was in there.
Yeah.
You know, when the Guns N' Roses thing, he was in there early in the Guns N' Roses thing and started L.A. Guns and had L.A. Guns going for a while before it got signed.
Yeah.
So the Guns N' Roses thing was something that they had started a while ago. So it wasn't like they were getting ready to do the first album and he was out.
Yeah.
You know, he had already been out for a while. But, you know, they kept the name, and the connection is forever.
Mm-hmm.
The connection will be forever, you know, and but it's.
But as Phil said, it's something he didn't like to talk about. So there's
Hated
obviously
it.
something quite heavy there.
Yeah, it wasn't musical. It was personal.
Right.
You know, and Tracy, I think, wanted to be heavier. He wanted to be more in the the Wasp vein than Guns N' Roses, who saw themselves as being more like a Hanoi Rocks type of band.
Yeah.
Right.
And he didn't like that.
Right. Steve, what were your influences? Phil came from the New Romantics that went into something heavier. What were your influences?
Drumming wise.
Yeah, and music wise.
You know, I just like so many drummers, and I love so much different styles of music. I started playing really when I was like 6 years old, and you know, go turn on to Buddy Rich and Gene Krupa, and I'm so influenced by Ginger Baker.
Right.
So influenced by him. I love Ginger Baker.
So anything from Gene Krupa to Ginger Baker, that's quite a spectrum.
Yeah, it is. And you know, I mean, in between there too is Charlie and Ringo that I love, and they're so underappreciated.
Yeah.
And I love those two guys, and I love the string of drummers that most drummers like: Ian Pace, John Bonham, Cozy Powell.
Yeah.
I love those, Carmine Appice. I love all those drummers, and I think there's a lot of terrific drummers out today. But you know, my musical influences are pretty. I like a lot of the early stuff, and I love that feel of that early stuff from the '60s and early '70s, and I still listen to it a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not to put anything down that's coming out today, because there's a lot of terrific stuff out.
Right.
And there's just so many good musicians too now.
Right.
There's a lot of good musicians.
Right. And you were in Wasp, and you joined L.A. Guns just after the debut album. Yeah,
I did, and I did the same thing in Wasp. They recorded their first album and fired their drummer before any touring. So I joined them, and I did their next 3 albums.
Right.
And I left in '87, and they had just recorded their album with their drummer, and they let him go, and I came in on that before they did any touring also. So it was kind of an odd thing, but I was really fortunate to go right from Wasp to something that was happening and really hot, you know?
Yeah. When you joined in '87, did you have any idea that this, you know, the first stage was going to be a 7-year chunk of your time with one band? Did it feel like that at the time?
Not at all. No, I really didn't. You know, when band didn't have a deal. You know, we were all living in one apartment. You know, sleeping in sleeping bags on the floor, and we had a lot of interest. And it, you know, it was a very hot place to be. You know, like music-wise, it was there were a lot of bands. A lot of bands were getting signed at the time. You know, and you know, we were hoping, and we were, you know, definitely one of the favorites there. But yeah, you know, Bob Scorrow from Polygram gave us the deal, and then things really started changing. You know, we went and recorded the album, and from that point, and then we toured almost immediately after it was finished. By which time we had Steve in the band. The original drummer Nicky was like a real Hollywood guy, and when it became apparent to him that he was going to have to leave his hometown and his friends for basically
most of the year.
Well, indefinitely actually, because it went over a year.
Yeah. Right.
You know, we all gave up our you know, whatever we had, you know, girlfriends, flats, cars, whatever, and got on that tour bus, and we were pretty much on it for 2 years.
Right.
Just going round and round and round America, you know, jumping onto major tours, and then, you know, going and doing our own like clubs and small theaters, and then, you know, jumping on another tour. It was really exciting. It was really hard work.
Yeah.
You know, we were taking like a little bit of LA to every city in America.
Right. And just taking it from 1988, when the debut album came out, 89, Cocked and Loaded, up to 94, which of those albums means the most to you two guys?
Cocked and Loaded made the most noise,
you
know, and it was Cocked and Loaded right after the Gold album, the first album went gold, and things were sizzling, you know. Everybody wanted to get us into the studio.
Right.
And Steve and I weren't, you know, the songs, most of the songs were already written on the first record, so I didn't do very much on it. I just, you know, basically replaced Paul's lyrics.
Right.
And so Cocked and Loaded was an opportunity for me to start writing, Steve to start writing. So really, you know, in terms of like this lineup, that was really our first record.
Right. And when did things, you say that things were really sizzling for you in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
When did it start to turn? Because you two sat here friendly, etc. You had your bus stops, didn't you? And apparently, you know,
we worked from 87 to 92. Like Phil said, we worked so hard.
It was just a blur.
Hard on this project, and it was non-stop. It was just continuous touring, recording, interviews, photo shoots, moving around, flying across to do interviews, and it was a non-stop, and it would have broken anybody down, and everybody kind of broke down a little bit. And between 92 and early 95, there was kind of a lull in the band, and you know, they did Vicious Circle while I was out of the band, and they used 4 or 5 different drummers on it, and it was a very good album because they wrote the material, so I loved the material, but it was kind of a lull in the band.
It was a fragmented album.
Totally. Right.
You know, there was it was very, you know, incohesive. There was just like, had highs and lows. It wasn't constant at all. It was like, you know, if you do have different drummers. I mean, we had Pat Benatar's drummer on it. We had Randy Castillo playing on it. Bones, you know, whoever, you know.
The guy, you had about 3 or 4 drummers.
Yeah, and you know, it wasn't a band. It was, you know, it was a recording project. You know, Tracy was never around during that recording, the recording of that either. I had to get other people to play guitar, and at the very like in the last week, he came in and put guitars down on it.
Right.
You know, nobody was talking to each other.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah.
But
and that led to the loss of the deal, didn't it? That led the after Vicious Circle. That was the record company.
Yeah. The record, believe it or not, the record company were disappointed because we only sold 170,000 copies. You know, and by today's standards, that's fantastic. But you know, we came from an era where, you know, we had a couple of a platinum record. Yeah. You know, Cocked and Loaded sold 1 million copies, but that didn't really mean very much back then. You know, you had Poison and Cinderella and Rat, you know, going off and doing like 5, 6, you know, 6 million records, and you know, so you know, when it went platinum, it was like, oh well, yeah, great, you know, it's really good. You know, it means that, you know, we've done something, but by no means, you know, we could sit back and rest on our laurels. Yeah. But by today's standards, you know, the sales were phenomenal.
Yeah. So in '94, you decided it was time for a rest from l.a.guns.
Well, I had some, got a little family together. I had a kid and a little girl, And I just couldn't go out and do, you know, the strutting peacock rock star, you know, and then come back and be like, you know, the loving dad to my daughter.
Right.
It was too much, and I'd been doing it for so long. I really felt like it was time for change. And,
Right. So you took a rest, and then there was Filthy Luca. Was that a project you enjoyed?
Yeah, it was a project. It was my weekend, you know, pub band thing. You know, it was never supposed to be, you know, a big, you know, touring, selling project. It was just, you know, get together with some of my mates and record some, you know, easy
and
stuff.
keep doing music, basically.
Yeah.
How did the reunion, '99 Anaheim reunion, come about?
That came about because we were, again, offered to get back together. Our record label asked us to get back together, and
Greatest Hits and Black Beauties. Is that?
that's right.
Right.
And that was the first time all 5 of the original members were in the same studio.
Right.
And,
how did that feel for you?
It's all right. I mean, I came back and did it, but I wasn't a member of the band. You know, it was just like, you know, something we did. It was a recording project, and at that point, I was still working over at Fox, you know, I wasn't sure if it was right. I did a couple of tribute records. And I ended up doing a version of $1 Billion Babies on the Alice Cooper tribute. It's called Humanary Stew. And I hadn't done anything that heavy in a long time. And it felt really good. It felt really good, you know, singing a song and sweating. And it was like, at that point, I was like, well, maybe I'm...
It's in the blood.
Yeah, maybe I should be doing this a bit more, yeah, and it was the right time. Timing was right. You know, we'd been a couple of deals on the table, and all the bollocks had died down between us, and it was refreshing.
Right.
You know, we did recorded a couple of low budget records, and we did a couple of tours, and Mick and Kelly came to the pretty much the opposite conclusion I came to.
Right.
They were like, well, this isn't really right for us. It was when we were younger, but we've sort of grown out of it.
Right.
So there was absolutely no hard feelings on them going. You know, we're still friends, and I'm sure we'll do something again down the line. But me and him, I was right back in the saddle. It was like, yeah, I like this. This is, you know, I'm enjoying this, and it's good to be back, and
Steve, obviously the same for you as well. Yeah, it just felt right.
Without a doubt, you know, in being out of the band, I realized how difficult it is, because I tried to get some stuff off the ground in L.A., you know, with a couple of different projects, and I realized how difficult it is. It's
to start
so
from scratch. Yeah.
And I also, touring is in my blood. I've toured for so long that I love touring. I really do, and I love playing live and moving around. And,
we're lifers.
That's
what he says.
And that brings us right to the present, which you're here in Bradford touring again. And for the rest of this year, you have the album is like the aim for this year, getting a new album out or put together, right?
Yeah.
How do you go about that on the road?
Recording and
no, just sort of putting together the material. You mentioned at the beginning that you want an album out by the end of this year.
Yeah, well, I'm not thinking too much about that. You know,
right.
I think that Waking the Dead has got plenty of steam left.
Right.
You know, obviously we're happy with it. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing, you know, 4 songs off of it in our set. I'd like to do more.
Right.
But you know, that's not fair to people that have followed the band. You know, we got you know a lot of pretty extensive catalog now, you know.
There's at least 8, 9 songs that we have to play.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, of course.
So we mix it up a bit, and I'm real happy that the new stuff is going down really, really well.
Right.
You know, because a lot of the people that are here or at the shows already have it and know it.
Right.
But even people that don't are like, oh yeah, you know, I like that. What was that second song? The second song you did, you know, Don't Look at Me. What was that song? And so yeah, we've got CDs out with us, and they're flying off the shelves.
Great. Phil Lewis, Steve Riley, lifers. Have a great tour. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you very much, Dan. All right. Well, Over the Edge was conceived in a hotel room in Tokyo during the height of our madness. And, really short sleep and very short fuse. And I remember being, really freaked out, so far from home, and in this tiny little Japanese hotel room with the Japanese TV going, and it was all, it felt so alien. I felt like I was in a different world.
Right.
I felt really detached. I didn't really have anybody. It was a
Alienation.
yeah, really lonely time for me, but still exciting as well. Sort of a Bowie-ish kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Like Heroes kind of a vibe.
Yeah.
So when I came to and then I wrote the song, real basic song, but I took a bit of 15th century Japanese music at the beginning, Japanese like sort of traditional folk music, and I somehow wanted to blend it in to this like huge bombastic metal track, and when we were working on it in the studio and mixing the fade, I faded out the old kabuki music and brought in the keyboard swell, and it was just like, wow, this is great. And then when he kicks in with the drums, ba 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 ba, just it all makes so much sense. And this is one of the songs that was used in the movie Point Break.
All right.
It's like a surf movie. It's the guy that did Titanic, directed Titanic.
James Cameron.
James Cameron directed the movie, and he wanted to use it in Point Break, and that was another great thing, going to a movie theater, sitting down and hearing it. That's the same thing, the whole idea is swell. And every time I hear it or sing that song, I always go back to that like little hotel room in Tokyo.
All right.
And that's the vibe on that one.
Kiss My Love Goodbye is a funny song to us because it was originally She's Got the Biggest Breasts in the West.
Working time. Yeah.
And that's a funny song because we came out of the gate with that as our first video.
Right.
A little postscript to Over the Edge because we wanted to come out of the gate with Over the Edge. We felt so good about that track on Hollywood Vampires. We wanted to be the first video, first single, let's go. We had the Point Break thing going with it. The whole thing made sense. But the label forced us to do Kiss My Love Goodbye, and it's a fun song, and the kids loved that. But we were hot on Over the Edge, so Kiss My Love Goodbye is just like a fun song to play, and it was a fun song to write too,
From the Hollywood Vampires album,
Yeah, Never Enough is when we were making the video in Denver. We wanted to do like an old 60s type. Black and white, like
Ed
Sullivan type of thing, and it was a lot of fun doing it, a lot of fun making it. It was a song like Never Enough was I thought was a great blend of us, the rock side, the heavy side, the metal side, and the blues side. It's a good fusion. It's a good like metal blues fusion song.
There's a sort of Jimmy Page vibe to it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, very much a kind of Jimmy Page.
Yeah.
Is he an influencer here?
Enormous influence. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Big Zeppelin fans.
Of all eras, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's not. I can't think of any Zeppelin album that I've never bought or didn't love.
Yeah. Sex Action.
Well, the Sex Action's another one of those like silly songs that we wrote specifically for LA radio. Poison had Don't Talk Dirty to Me at that time, and it was just as a sort of like flirtatious, like silly little like cock rock song, and people loved it.
Right.
Revolution is the first song we played from Waking the Dead.
And we handed that to Phil without knowing what it was going to sound like. And we really didn't hear the melody until we were well into the album, and we were really surprised and happy with it. When he brought it in and we heard it, it was just great.
That was the last song that I actually sang on the record, and I had to write it. I finished writing it on the last day that I was in there, and I had to be in at 6 o'clock to do the vocals, and by 4 o'clock I hadn't written a single thing, and the working title for it was One Little Doggy, Two Little Doggy, Three, because the only thing I can, one little doggy, two little doggy, and I was really freaking out, and you know, I was looking through books and magazines and trying to get an idea, and I saw revolution, and it just took one word, and I could write the whole song around that.
Wow.
Mercifully. And yeah, it turned out great. It's
did.
definitely one of my favorites on the new record.
Right.
Long Time Dead is a song on Vicious Circle. It's a very sort of Dylan-esque, lyrically it's a sort of Dylan-esque, you know, I like to flatter myself a little bit here and say that, you know, it's a stretch for me. It's a sort of a metaphysical type of song that, you know, just explores the you know, like one's mortality and just, you know, just like the basic message. A lot of people I've grown up around, you know, committed suicide and are gone, or, you know, like burnt themselves out, and you know, it's a song to myself and to, you know, anybody that's interested in listening, that, you know, life is very short, and savor it and enjoy it, and it can be mysterious, it can be fun, it can be very mystical, and
that's also turned into a great live piece.
Right.
Long Time Dead's a really long piece that we do now live, and we let the guitar players just go off.
Right.
There's a long jam in the middle, and he's playing acoustic on it, so it's turned into a real lively piece.
Right.
The Hellraiser's Ball was going to be the title of the new CD.
Right.
And I wanted to write a song about like this sort of like fictitious sort of Halloween type moon party, this you know, sort of witchy thing with the big fires going on around it, and that was the, you know, when I was given when we were working on the track, the music really inspired me to think of like some crazy biker party in a field somewhere, in a full moon, bonfires, chicks dancing naked. You know, that's the vibe for that. Don't Look at Me That Way is really a moody track, you know, and it's a little bit along the lines of, you know, the Bob Seger Turn a Page. Metallica did the same song too, you know, where you just get, you know, people look at you and they think that, you know, you're in a band, or you've got long hair, or you know, and they've got you sussed, and you know, they'll categorize you, and it's you know, it's a song about that, and the
Prejudice.
The frustration of prejudice. Yeah. And One More Reason is one of the songs that I had to interpret when I joined the band, and that was the first l.a.guns song I ever heard. And I just thought it was great, you know, and I thought it was great, and I think it's great because it completely breaks all the rules. It's not like, you know, a catchy, hooky song with lots of, you know, like clever little bits here and there. It's just an outright heavy, you know, it's the absolutely like atypical l.a.guns song. Electric Gypsy is very much the same kind of thing.
Those two are brother songs.
Yeah, you know,
Absolutely.
as Steve was saying, you know, there are half a dozen songs that we absolutely have to play,
right.
Like Tony Bennett not doing San Francisco, and you know, that Electric Gypsy, One More Reason are definitely the two that have to go like in the set, usually next to each other. The Ballad of Jane. Well, that was a song. That was a song that almost split up the band. When we were recording it on Cocked and Loaded, it split the band right down the middle. We'd recorded a ballad, and up until that point, we just thought we were the badass band that would never do a ballad. And you know, it was a complete sellout for us to do it. But everybody liked the song. You know, it's and it's like, if it's stripped down, it's kind of a country and western song in a way, so there was a lot of wrangling over that, whether it should go on the record. Fortunately, it did, because it was you know, the biggest thing. It was the biggest hit that we had, and you know, we're still getting checks and attention from it. So I think we made the right decision. But you know, I've got to tell you, I don't, you know, ever go and sing it. I know how Tony must feel, you know, when San Francisco starts up. It's like, oh God, here we go. But you know what I do now to keep it interesting is I have the crowd. You know, I have them sing a bit of it with me, and you know, just not make fun of it, but make light of it.
Right.
And you know, it's kind of a serious song. It's a sad, it's a lament.
Yeah.
And but you know, we usually close our set with it, and you know, it's you know, I think it really shows that this band has got a lot of angles. You know, we're not one-dimensional.
Right.
We do come from the sort of Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones mentality, where you know we can go from a hard rock blues song into like a country type of song. It doesn't all have to be, you know, the same format. And you know, for better or worse, that's just the way we are.
Rip and Tear's another one that we must do every night. It shows you our roots to Rip and Tear. It's straight rock and roll, push hard, and that's what that song's all about. It's just push, 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 and it's absolutely straight, you know, and there's no ifs, ifs, or buts. If it's really good rock and roll, we know it's a good rock and roll song.
And that was my party song. That was like, you know, in L.A. at the height of our vibe. You know, we couldn't switch the radio on without hearing ourselves.
Yeah.
And you know, like got the first Harley, driving it up and down Mulholland at sunset. And you know, it was like a little, you know, diary for me. That song. You know, that was what it was. I was trying to capture that vibe. You know, real good time song.
Thank you guys, that was great. Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks a lot.